Hey guys, and welcome to the igloo today. Today I'm going to be showing you guys this fucking trap base. It's going to be a little bit lengthy, but I don't mind at all because right now this is the only one that I've seen yet that can be as a trap base that would be as a pit style. Alright, so the main point is to have complete camouflage about this base so that you have all tier 1 like sandstone walls, sandstone ceilings, and everything else around, and then you have tier 2 stuff hiding inside, hiding on the inside of the outside trap wall, the foundation that supports in between both the walls, as well as the walls that are leading up to your little mock setup, the bait. I'm using this top portion as the bait so that it can be as a magnificent lure. Between bonfire, there's a little armor bench, a furnace, carpenter's bench, and also a sleeping bed if you want to spawn there. So now here we also have the bait, and it's even more luscious at nighttime. Whether you use the big bonfire or you use the little campfire. So either way, you're showing that somebody could have the attempt to be trapped in this base. Now, it's not going to be against explosives because that's a high tier. You're not trapping those kind of people. You're trapping for the certain type of people that have steel weapons. And in order to have these kind of foundations, I use pillars in order to support the weight of the rest of the structure leading upward, so you can be able to build up as much as you can. Now, I use this little trick where you put it right on the other side of the doorway, and you can still have the door up as well, so you can support it. Now, you can either have this kind of wall one high, so that you can try and trap one person, but right now in this game, you can double jump in order to get up onto another person's level 1 structure. So I would recommend trying to get a 2 length tall structure, but until then you can build something of the similar where you can be like, alright, I don't have all the resources, so I can make a tier 2 level 1 kind of structure with foundations that would proceed all the way around. Now you got to make sure that your foundations are tier 2, not tier 1, because they can just break through it as the foundation by looking right at the very bottom of where the foundation resides. So if you're doing that kind of structure, not a sky base, not a cliff base, where you can destroy ladders on the behalf, because you got to remind yourself that you are trying to trap people into this kind of setup. This is like a floor by floor tier structure. Now in later videos I'm going to be showing off like a bridge collapse structure where you can pretty much bait somebody to go onto a bridge, and then you collapse the bridge, and then they get trapped into a tier 2 structure, tier 3 structure. But this one, you can see that everything inside is tier 2, and it's going to be completely camouflaged, so to the unbeknownst raider that you cannot get in that specific retail. Now I'm going to show you this as well. Now if you want to lock your base down, or you want to lock your top down, if you are going to be using this as a main base, what I would recommend is that you put a ceiling right next to the ladder if you're going to be building in this kind of 2x2 structure, so that you can be able to be like, alright, they can't get up here without them listening to it. And they would think that they can get on up there, but they cannot. So if you put like a tier 1 kind of ceiling onto that kind of style, you should be good about that. Now for the rest of this, and you got to make sure that your pillars are not one on top of one another, because if they're on top of one another, especially in a 2x2 structure, especially when you're trying to build up on that 2x2 structure, you won't be able to build at all. I mean, you can make it so that it could be neat about it, but it would defeat the purpose of the structure. Now here I'm experimenting with having like a second level door, so they have to think and choose the lesser of the 2 doors to try and be baited in. But then I realized that the point of this is to actually have 1 door facing structure at the bottom, because if you have the top, the whole point of this is to be as a noob kind of outside structure. So here I'm working on the second story for everybody, and this is the preferred method for this kind of build, where you should be able to have a second story so they can't double jump. So it will force the raiders to either A, try to pick at your stuff, B, get explosives, or C, they can't double jump, they would have to triple jump. So somebody has to die no matter what at that case. So you have at least 2 different tiers of loot, and they have to have a lot of times where they have to run back to their base, keep getting their stuff up. So it would just be an extreme hassle to the people that are trying to raid. So most people are not going to try and raid you in this kind of style of building. So again, to the person that's not as advanced in their raiding techniques and they really want to just start zerging the whole server and raiding the server, like what's been happening is that as soon as people get steel weapons, the people that are built on just the floor and not built on the cliff, they would have a extremely hard time to actually have a base when you just have a person that has steel the whole time. So most people jump ship and leave to another server when that happens. When someone unlocks steel, everything goes to shit. And they cannot play, they cannot do anything, and they feel like it's hopeless. And then they go to another server. Honestly, this is one of the ways where you can be, as when you're leveling up during a new wipe of a server, and you can actually go forth and just straight up trap people for steel, and you'll be able to get their steel. So now you have the steel weapons, you can be that raider, or you can be a higher tier defense person for your main base. I would highly recommend that this would not be your main base, because it's not only resource heavy, but it's one of the only ways to actually defend your structure. Now, I've seen a lot of people build these 2x2s and then a flat plane on the top. So I'm seeing this as the person that wants to have their structure on above, and they've made this similar style fortress with a fence terrace on the top so that they can not only snipe with their archers, or they can snipe themselves with their crossbow or their actual bow and arrow, but you should be able to actually go back and forth and see exactly what they have and see where they are, so you have as much reconnaissance as you can. Now again, this is not one of those bases that you can be like, this is the most heavily fortified base. No, this is still going to serve a purpose. Now you can adapt this base to be as your own, because I can't say they exactly copy this design, because this will be on YouTube. So people are going to be like, yo, this is going to be the most craziest kind of thing. No, have your own flair for this kind of base. Put your own stuff, put your own traps. And when the traps are actually implemented, like bear traps and also snare traps and a few other things, then this will become one of the steeples to trapping somebody at the base floor or somebody walking up to your base. So you'll be able to have a higher tier kind of setup. Now, I just started my server. It is called... It is just stupid. I just got it onto my dedicated server, and it is pretty much PvP 3x experimental, active admin at Polar Bear Twitter. The link will be in the description below for the server itself for my own Conan. I run it 24/7, and if there's any updates and I'm not home, I pretty much stream what I need to update on my cell phone, and I update the server that way through commands with CMD. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you leave a comment down below, and have a good day.